Oh, good morning, my friends. It is Sunday, or some people call it Smonday, because we're getting ready for the week. I love our Sunday morning chats. Sunday lives are a special occasion. And don't think I didn't contemplate changing the title to talk about what went on last night. But it already took me a couple of days to get my stomach acid under control to talk about Jen Soto serving Madeline up to Mr. Disney on a silver effing platter. I literally threw up. I puked. Now, yesterday was a different story. DT Driver and OJ had to take care of me all day because I had some sort of sinus infection thing going on. Feverish off and on throughout the day. Fever would break, coughing all day. But they nursed me back to health. But I do know the hot topic and what everybody is talking about this morning. I got you. We're going to do a show tomorrow. I'm going to have, hopefully, all my ducks in a row. Hopefully, Chloe comes up. Because what went down with Trevor, Saint Seth, and TikTok Tony is illegal. You see, we don't blackmail people to get them to take the rap for something we've done. We will talk about it tomorrow. Just know that I'm going to talk about it. And a lot of people are not going to be happy. But I know there's a lot of people that are happy here. And she's right here. She's got 2 thumbs and red hair. Woo! Heather Mack, where you been, girlfriend? Missed you. My goodness. Hey, Snazzy, what up? All right, who is caught up? Show of hands, or just a yes or no. Who's caught up on what happened with Madeline Soto? I agree with Teresa. Jen needs to be charged. Erica's caught up. Think about this. This is a tidbit of evidence. This isn't everything. We haven't gotten to the trial yet. We're probably looking at 2025 for the trial. This is the tip of the iceberg. We already know Stefan's in the big house. We know he's probably going to get death. What will Jen get? At this point, what is she? A witness for the prosecution, or is she going to be a co-defendant? I'm hoping co-defendant, because I believe they have enough just with their own statements to hang him. But I'm not the prosecutor. Let's take a second and tell everyone happy Sunday morning. So happy you're here. And the only suggestion I have to our tax-paying friends in Florida, particularly this county, serve it up. Serve it up. Certify a letter to the DA's office demanding she be brought up on charges. They can ignore emails. They don't have to return phone calls, but a certified letter doesn't go away. Get on that. If it would work for me, I would do it. Andrea Lynn said, hi, upstate New York in the chat. We got 2 upstate New Yorkers. What to do? DT Driver's from upstate New York, but he's in the bathroom right now. Okay, let's get to your comments from what I put on the community tab. Okay, on the community tab a couple of days ago, I put it actually up on Friday. Could not believe what I was reading, could not believe what I was posting. Newly released documents shows police detectives on March 14th, they provided sworn statements of their discussions with Madeleine's mother, Jennifer Soto, and Stearns, who is the accused murderer, amongst other things. Jennifer stated while they were together, they, Jen, Stephen, and Madeleine would either all sleep in the same bed or Madeleine would sleep with her when Stephen was not there, one statement reads. When asked if it was normal that Mr. Disney and Maddie would sleep together without her being there, she said yes, statement said. Unfucking believable. How did she not know? How did she not hear anything? You're talking about a little girl. How did she not notice her laundry? Her behavior? The obvious pain she would have been in? Jen Soto stated that if she needed a good night's sleep due to her anxiety, she would ask them, meaning Stearns and Maddie, to sleep in a different bedroom. Another statement reads, and this is the kicker. Stearns stated Maddie always needed human contact when going to sleep. He referred to it as snuggling. He also said she's his person. What? What? Now we have heard rumors for quite a while that Madeleine would not sleep alone. And I thought to myself, sleep alone? She probably locked her bedroom door and said, everybody leave me alone. No wonder she wanted to go live out in the woods. I'd rather live in the woods too. Here's a few of your comments. Linda said, absolutely sickening. She was supposed to keep her daughter safe. She's just as guilty and should be arrested and charged for her disgusting behavior. I'm sure Maddie was not okay with that. T-Walk said, what about Maddie's anxiety? Not to get too graphic, but there are 1,700 plus files on his accidentally factory resetted records, I would say. And they are graphic. They are graphic. Imagine when Jen Soto would say, my anxiety's too much, so I need you two to go sleep somewhere else. Imagine what Madeleine's anxiety was when she knew she was getting served up. Cuckoo Cachoo said this mother knew what was going on and she allowed it. She needs to be arrested immediately. Petty Kim Kitty Fam said, I knew it. She participated and allowed it. Disgusting. Many, many, many questions saying she knew. We have said that from the beginning. How did she not know? How could she not know? Look, we have mainly women in here. And we know things get a little sore downstairs if we've had a, romp in the hay, particularly early on when we were having sex, first time going to the gyno. How did she not notice her daughter's discomfort? I have a lot of questions. Some of the pictures, the way they're described in the arrest affidavit, the original one for all of the photos on Stern's phone that he accidentally factory resetted. Unless he's an octopus, I don't see how the hell, the way they're described, he took all of those on his own. Unless he's got a timer on the camera and he knows how to set the shot up just right. I have often wondered, was Jen taking the pictures? Actually impatiently waiting for her ass to be in jail. All right, here's one of the news releases. Disturbing AF.
New audio and documents in the case against accused child rapist and killer Stephen Stearns.
He was arrested in the days following the disappearance of his girlfriend's daughter, Madeline Soto.
West 2 News investigative reporter Greg Fox joins us now, going through that evidence. Greg, Stearns appears fairly calm throughout this recording.
And there may be two explanations for that. Number one, at the moment, he may be thinking detectives have no real evidence against him. Number two, he says several times in the interview that he's taking a lot of medication to control anxiety. What he didn't know then is that detectives had already been focusing on him as the prime suspect.
And she wanted to be dropped off a little down the ways from the school.
You're listening to Stephen Stearns' voice as he was being interviewed by detectives.
Okay, his voice is creepy. Okay? He is a true, I don't even know what to call it. He's a ped for sure. Okay, he's a ped. He's a ped. That voice is just nails on a chalkboard creepy. She wanted to be dropped off. No, she didn't. Because she was dead. She was dead. And I go back to what Tina said. I think he was outside of that church because Santa goes to that church. If you don't know who Santa is, check out our playlist if somebody could post it in here. And he dumped her body, and it wasn't even really hidden. It's a 4-minute walk from Santa's house. I think he was hoping they would pin it right on him because he already knew the dirty deeds that were going on in Santa in his son's house. The popsicle man. Make me sick.
Detectives on February 27th, one day after 13-year-old Madeline Soto disappeared. Stearns, the boyfriend of Maddie's mother, was supposed to drop her off at Hunters Creek Middle School, but said she wanted to be dropped off a couple of blocks away.
She's got this phase that she's been into lately where she's very particular about what car she's seen getting out of in front of the school.
But Maddie never arrived at school. Video evidence would later, allegedly, show Stearns discarding items that included Maddie's backpack and laptop computer in a dumpster at the family's Kissimmee apartment complex. During the recorded interview, Stearns expressed sadness at Maddie's disappearance.
At that point, my brain was mush, and I was on so many tranquilizers to keep me stable. It's just...
And he gave the...
Oh, boo-hoo. Boo effing who. I was on so many tranquilizers to keep me stable. We've already heard about Jen Soto. Poor me. Poor me. Poor me. My anxiety. That's the reason that I would have Maddie and Mr. Disney go sleep in the other room. I have to take Seroquel Don't forget, she posted that she's home 24/7. 24/7. And she was offering her services to be a dog walker. Of course, we know later she got a job working for, I think, one of the Disney hotels. 24/7. It's not like you work at the hospital 12-hour shifts and you come home and you crash. You know, you're on a coffee diet all weekend. 24/7. How did she not know? That voice alone would have told you something. And that toxicology between all the tranquilizers, I can't say the word, in that apartment, in that condo, is going to be very telling. Like I said, what we have right now is just a little bit. These are just tidbits. These are just little bits of evidence. I'll wait till the trial. And God be with that jury when they have to see some of these photos. One of the photos was shown straight to Jen, and she goes, I don't know what that is. One out of 1,700 plus. She goes, I don't know what that is. I can't make that out. I can't make that out. I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. It was a picture of Madeline performing a certain sex act on Mr. Disney. I don't know what that is. Are you kidding me? You don't know what the side of your daughter's face looks like, and you don't know what that is sticking out of his middle? You don't know? Then they said she was visibly distraught. Visibly distraught. Wow.
This explanation about why most of the information on his phone was deleted.
I don't know what the heck I did, but somehow during the massive OS update, I managed to factory reset my phone and lose all of my contacts, all my information.
Investigators would later retrieve images from the phone that prompted the initial charges against Stearns of sexual battery on a child under 12. Documents obtained from the state attorney's office reveal that Stephen Stearns had an on-again, off-again 7-year relationship with Madeline Soto's mother. Those documents also indicate the pornographic images allegedly found on Stearns' cell phone date back at least 2 years and depict vile acts of sexual abuse. In March, detectives provided sworn statements of their discussions with Jennifer Soto and Stephen Stearns. Jennifer Soto stated while they were together, they, Jennifer, Stephen, and Madeline, would either all sleep in the same bed or Madeline would sleep with her when Stephen was not there. When asked if it was normal that Stephen and Madeline would sleep together without her being there, and she said yes. In another statement, Stephen stated Madeline always needed human contact when going to sleep. Stephen referred to it as snuggling.
But the conversations with Stearns came to an abrupt end when detectives revealed that they had recovered incriminating images on his cell phone that involved him allegedly sexually abusing Madeline Soto. Stearns is set for trial in July or August, but the state attorney's office today told me that they believe those dates will be pushed back to later this year or even next year. Stuart?
Oh, I bet it'll be 2025 sometime. 1,700 photos of alleged sexual abuse. Look, you can pull the feathers off a duck. It's still a duck. And when you show her mama, do you recognize this room? Do you recognize this child? Do you recognize this unit? This was all found on his phone. You're telling me in all the years that she was with him, she never looked at his phone? Oh, they got a lot to go through. And they say as of right now, it's 2 years. We don't know how many Google accounts he's had. We don't know how many phones he has had over the years. And I think it goes back further. He posted this. The finished product, my girlfriend's 9-year-old daughter. He had to make sure to put Maddie's age in there. This is called advertising to his other ped friends. My girlfriend's 9-year-old daughter planned and painted this scheme with a bit of help from me on the helmet and small bits. Okay, helmet is a code word for something else. You see, these peds have their own language. They have their own language. With a bit of help from me on the helmet and small bits, she is very proud, and it looks pretty darn good. 9 years old. 4 years ago. That's the nastiness we're talking about. They have a lot to go through. And I have a feeling Homeland Security is about to be neck deep in this. That doesn't mean he just used one email address. Let's get to more revelations from the phone call. Again, I should have done something about this on Friday. I couldn't stomach it, but we're together now.
No, she's very dependent on us. I don't think she'd know what to do if she did run away. She's not the type. She's a good kid.
Stefan Stearns, the man accused of murdering Maddie Soto, in his own words, telling police about the day that Maddie disappeared.
I'm sorry I'm not being more help. I'm not a morning person. I was half asleep as it was.
We're also learning what Maddie's mom told detectives after finding out about 11.
I'm not a morning person, and I was half asleep. For one, it's hard to get past the cringe voice. Okay, it is. 2, who cares about your sleep? Who cares about your sleep? Madeline's missing. And you know she didn't run away. You know she was dead. Sorry, I'm asleep. What do they say about when people are waiting for interrogation? You know, they'll let them sit in the room by themselves for hours upon hours upon hours just to watch them. Innocent people will pace and pace and pace and pace. They have so much anxiety built up because, well, they're innocent. Seems almost polar opposite. Guilty people will almost take a nap because they know the truth.
Alleged sexual abuse. Thanks for joining me for Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Stefan Stearns is now charged with the murder of Maddie Soto. Maddie's mom reported her missing back on the evening of February 26th after she didn't come out of the school. Stearns was the sometimes live-in boyfriend of Maddie's mother, Jen Soto.
Here I am, pausing it again. Okay, look at that. That Disney shit makes me so mad. I don't think Anjanette knows this, but Jen Soto, or as I call her, Mr. Ed, damn, look at that grill. She didn't report her missing. Her mom and her sister did. Jen's mom and Jen's sister, not Jen.
Both of them spoke to police that night. Stearns was the last person to see Maddie alive, claiming he dropped her off for school at a church that morning. Stearns spoke to police the next day on February 27th, and it was audio recorded.
Woke up around 7:15, somewhere around there, which is an early start for us, but we had talked about getting McDonald's breakfast beforehand, so we wanted to make good time. We did make good time. We got out the door maybe 7:30ish, 7:45ish, maybe. Got over to that area. She was asleep in the car most of the time, just snoozing until we got there. We got to McDonald's. We're close to McDonald's. I said, "You still want it?" She wasn't interested in the McDonald's anymore, so we continued on.
This is a law and crime legal alert. Google Incognito tracked users browsing data without their knowledge.
Where you get to the overpass, we could see the overpass from where it was. So it was on that side, on that stretch of road, and that's where I dropped her off. She said she was going to go wait for her friends. She was going to find them and hang out and wait for her friends. And I asked if that was going to be okay. She said, "Yeah, it's fine. Kids get dropped off early enough as it is. It's not totally unusual for that to happen. It's just not usually that early that I drop her off. I do school runs every.
Okay, the truth is they have been on again, off again. And I have a feeling the way that they would kiss and make up is for Jen to allow access to Madeline. I think the arguments that she had with Madeline were about what Madeline was complaining about she was doing with Stephen bin Laden, because that's what he looks like to me. That ISIS shit all over his face. Those creepy ass panda eyes and everything. He's just sick. She said in her interview, we hadn't fought in a couple of weeks. Well, he was just allowed back in the house that night, was at Madeline's birthday party. Jen was not there. And well, we know what happened. Remember, Jen lied. She said she saw Madeline alive that morning. According to the investigation and the evidence, there's no way she could have seen her alive. No way. She was already dead. Knowing this sick ass, he probably got something for himself at McDonald's and continued driving around to figure out where near Santa's house to put her.
Once in a while for her. I said, "Okay. Let her out. Have a good day. Love you. Thanks. Love you too." And I turned around and was driving away and was watching her in my rearview mirror to make sure that she was going where we were supposed to go. And she was moving in that direction, but she was rummaging around in her backpack or something. What I assumed was probably headphones or something like that. But I find out later that she forgot her phone here, so she may have been rummaging for her phone. But she was still kind of making her way towards that direction, so it looked okay. Looked like any other day. And I just continued on.
That last little bit of information is very important because the sheriff of Orange County said after Stearns was arrested and charged with sex crimes involving Maddie, that video showed Stearns tossing Maddie's backpack into a dumpster at the apartment complex where they lived the morning that she disappeared.
We have video evidence that shows Stephen Stearns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26th. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster.
Now, back to that interview with Stearns on February 27th. The detectives seemed surprised by the location where Stearns said he dropped Maddie off that morning. And you can tell they were looking at a map while talking with him.
Yeah, where's the church? Is this the church here?
There is that's the church.
Okay, so we weren't up to the church yet. So we were pulled on to here, and then we pulled maybe about halfway up here, and I dropped her off somewhere in this area here.
And she walked from there to the school?
Yeah.
It's a pretty long way.
It's maybe a block or so, but it's not out of the ordinary for her. She likes to do that sometimes. She likes the cold weather. She was wearing her hoodie.
So did you merge into the sidewalk, or did you stop in the middle of the street, or?
I just pulled over to the sidewalk there. Let her hop out.
How often do you drop her off?
This might be the 5th or 6th time I've ever done it.
Okay. And when you drop her off, where do you normally drop her off at?
Normally down the street from the school. She requests that a lot.
Like the same area or somewhere else?
Especially if it's sometimes in the church parking lot, sometimes just wherever she tells us to let her out. As long as it's close, you know.
The detectives then went back to the trip to McDonald's that Stearns had brought up earlier.
The McDonald's that you guys were going to stop at, did you pull into the plaza at any point?
No, she 86'd the idea before we even got there.
What do you mean by 86?
Poo-pooed the idea, didn't want it anymore.
Okay.
Wasn't in the mood anymore.
At any point while you were driving to the school, did you make a U-turn?
Okay, they're already asking him questions that they know. What do you mean by 86? Poo-pooed the idea, like he's talking to a child. I can just imagine with that creepy voice, the way he talked to Maddie. And how does he know what is out of the ordinary? He's in and out of the house. Again, I think that the arguments between Jen and Maddie were all about him. All about him. And exactly, Journey to Justice, dead people don't eat. She poo-pooed the idea. No. Y'all had no conversation. Absolutely impossible to communicate with someone that is no longer in the land of the living.
Yeah, I tried to sell her on McDonald's one more time because I was still kind of hungry, but at that point she was also just wanting to get to school.
Okay,
so I
where
turned right back around.
Where did you make that U-turn at?
Actually, the school park, not the school parking lot, the church parking lot. I pulled into that, turned around and pulled back out. Did a UE there and went back to the McDonald's. And she still wasn't having it. And that's when we came back. See, the McDonald's is on the same town loop or town center. It connects to the same road that the
school's on?
Yeah, so it's like a straight shot.
Then the detectives moved on to what Stearns claimed he did after dropping Maddie off at school.
And then after you dropped her off, what did you do?
Stayed, talked to her for a minute, made sure, you know, is it all right that you're going early? Because it was still early. She said, yeah, it's fine. I'm going to hang out and wait for my friends to get there, which she does sometimes. So it didn't sound, you know, outrageous or anything. That was it. Told her to have a good day. I loved her. She told me she loved me too. I turned around to leave, and I was watching her in my rearview mirror. And she looked like she was walking in the right direction. She was rummaging in her bag a little bit, like I said, but still sort of just shambling in the right direction while she was doing it. So it looked normal. It looked okay.
Okay, and then what did you do after you left the area?
I left to go to the local vape shop because I needed some more vape juice. They weren't quite open yet, so I ended up going back home, waited about an hour or so, and then went back and checked the vape shop again. It was open, so I got what I needed there and came back.
Do you remember what time you came home?
The first time was probably right around 10, close to it. And then I waited here and went back to the vape shop. Probably finished at the vape shop and came back home again a little after 11.
Stearns was then asked about Maddie's mom, Jen Soto. Did he see her when he returned home that first time?
Okay. You said the first time that you hung out with a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Was there when you got here at 10? Okay.
I think so. She might have been at her blood appointment. Let me double check. I know she had a blood appointment at some point during the day.
It's okay. We don't have to ask her right now.
Sorry, everything's a blur.
So she might have been here. She might have not have been here
I
at the first time.
believe she was here because she was sleeping in as much as she possibly could because she's been messed up with her work schedule. So she had to be here because she'd been wanting to sleep in.
Okay.
I'll double check, but yeah, I believe she was here.
And that's another interesting moment here. Stearns said he would double check on whether Jen Soto was sleeping or not. Keep in mind, this was just one day earlier. Stearns then said he left to go to some stores. He visited a Coliseum of Comics store, a couple of Target stores, and House Rules games. Stearns apparently liked to play video games. The detectives then questioned Stearns about Maddie leaving for school without.
Oh, he did. Also, we came across him on a Digimon Facebook group where he was trying to communicate with children about Digimon characters and the latest Digimon he had gotten. He had all kinds of questions for the kids. Went to Target, went to a comic book place. Now, I don't know what lab work Jen Soto had to do that day. Why 2 Targets? Anytime someone is dead, goes missing, etc., and they have all these silly errands, I immediately go there.
Out her cell phone.
Is it normal for her to not have her phone?
Unfortunately, she's severely ADHD, as am I and her mother. So it is not uncommon at all, and in fact, very, very usual thing for her to forget things. She'd forget her head if it wasn't screwed on. And we're forgetful about, writing her about that. It will remind her, and then it will leave our mind, and she'll say okay, and then it will leave her mind.
And is she on medication for this stuff?
Normally, yes. She's been staying with her grandparents a lot this week while her mom was working. So she has not been getting her meds a whole lot.
Okay.
So she was really spacey.
Where's mom working at? What changed in her hours that she needs all this thing?
She's training, so it's not a set schedule yet.
Okay.
The detectives then asked Stearns about other items Maddie would have had with her, including what Maddie's backpack looked like.
Does she have any other devices besides that phone? Any other electronics?
She had her school laptop with her.
Is that still supposed to be with her?
Still supposed to be with her, yes.
Okay. And what kind of book bag was she carrying?
Black book bag with like grayish blue hibiscus flowers on it, like a print.
Of course he would know those things. I can only speak for my man. He couldn't tell you the color of my backpack. If someone asked him what purse is she carrying? Oh, I don't know. She changes purses all the time. I don't know. I mean, most men, if you tell them something's in your purse, they'll hand you the whole purse and look right at you and say, here, find it. Now, Yolanda, who is Jen Soto's mother, good morning, Phil, 413. Jen Soto's mother, Madeline's grandmother, did say that she didn't believe that Madeline needed that medication. Didn't need it. And so when she was with her, she didn't give it to her because it would make her extra sleepy, very lethargic. So when she was with her, she didn't have it. She didn't believe in all these diagnoses. For one, they didn't come from a doctor. So I don't know what they were giving her.
When she leaves in the mornings, what does she usually put her phone?
Either in her backpack or like her back pocket, kind of wherever she just thinks to put it at the time.
Stearns was then asked whether Maddie would have just taken off and run away.
I don't know, you've probably been asked already, but she's never ran away or been away for longer than a certain period of time, amount of time. Like that.
Well, she's very dependent on us. I don't think she'd know what to do if she did run away. She's not the type. She's a good kid.
Besides the ADHD, is she diagnosed with anything else?
Yeah, she was tested a while back and had some symptoms of autism, so she's potentially on the spectrum there.
Okay.
She was officially diagnosed with it when she was younger, and then she was retested and said, well, she shows symptoms of being on the spectrum, but maybe not full-on autistic.
In fact, Maddie, according to documents released by police and prosecutors, was constantly in contact with family and friends. Stearns then asked whether there was any news about Maddie's disappearance.
Have we had any updates?
We literally have like 50 people right now on scene looking. I don't know if there's any updates. The best person would be the other detective because he's the one that is in charge of all this.
Okay, very telling that this is not a relief to him. Of course, we know why. All right, we know why. We literally have 50 people on scene searching. He just kind of goes, not, thank God, thank God. He just goes, And since when is Mr. Boyfriend the authority on a child? He was way, way, way too involved with Maddie. I can't express it enough. Whoa. I don't know who I'm more pissed at. I mean, there's too much rage to go around. Between him and Jen Soto and Grandma, I still don't know about you. I still don't know about the aunt. How many people ignored what was going on? But between Jen Soto and Mr. Disney, like I said, I've got too much rage. I'm serving it up, buffet style.
I don't think I've eaten anything since yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are worried.
This next little bit of information discussed in the interview is interesting. Stearns apparently split his time between his parents' home in Sarasota County and the apartment where Maddie and her mom lived. Maddie's mom would later tell detectives that Stearns hadn't been to their apartment since December.
Like, because you live down south, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you come back up north to help her?
I just got here this weekend.
Do you remember what day it was?
Sunday. Sunday was her birthday party, so yeah, it was the evening after her birthday party. Sunday.
Okay. Do you remember what time you got here on Sunday?
8:30ish, maybe.
Okay.
Just in time to make sure that she was doing all her nighttime routines. I'm waiting for her mom to get home.
Have to make sure she's doing all her nighttime routines. She's 13. She's 13. She's not 5. She's 13, or was. You don't need to stand over her and say, making sure you got your jammies on, making sure you brushed your teeth, making sure you got your homework ready. No. Oh my gosh, Phil. Y'all, let's take a second. If you received a Crime Lines and Lies membership from our girl Phil, say thank you. And everybody, get your umbrella. Thank you so much, Phil. Love you. Okay. Now, I'm just going to say this. I know I get in trouble from some people that can't sit with us. And they'll say, what are you doing fat shaming? Brooks, that has nothing to do with finding Sebastian. Brex, that has nothing to do with finding Summer. These things have nothing to do with the case. Okay, I'm going to say it right now. Everything in this man's past has to do with what happened to Maddie. And that voice alone, any man that talks very childlike, using words like poo-poo, she poo-pooed it, and has that very creepy, effeminate voice, yeah, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And old Jen was along for the ride, and she sat back and she watched it. She participated.
You live in North Pole, right?
Yeah, I split my time between the two.
Is that on
places.
Snug Street?
Snug Street?
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. You have a lot of Snug Street on here.
Yeah, I split my time between the two.
And shockingly, when Maddie was, quote, missing, Stearns said he and Maddie's mom didn't leave the apartment complex to look for her.
Did you and your wife, when you guys were looking for where did you guys look?
Me and her stayed local. It was all the rest of the family that mobilized and was beating the bushes. And
Did you guys drive together or separate?
I don't think we drove anywhere when we were looking.
You didn't drive anywhere?
Not that I recall.
Did you guys go anywhere last night? Was that media?
Maybe. I think Fox 35 or something was coming.
Yeah.
If it is, let me tell him he needs to take it out.
Okay.
I don't recall.
So the rest of the family was out frantically searching for Maddie, but not Stearns or her mom. Then detectives confronted Stearns about his story about the morning Maddie disappeared not matching video evidence.
Law enforcement early on also said that Jen Soto, her recollection of events did not match up with the evidence. You see, the evidence should match what is said. So when you say, "Oh, I saw her live that morning," but they know that that can't be. They don't tell us why. But they know that can't be. Now, let me ask you this. It's going to be speculation, opinion only. Why was Jen Soto not frantic? Mr. Disney is self-explanatory. Why was Jen Soto not frantic? Everybody in the family is out looking for Maddie, but her mother is not. Did she witness this murder like she has witnessed everything else? Because you're not going to convince me that she didn't serve her right up. This is horrible. Horrible. Okie Bree said she didn't care because her competition was gone. Grab your umbrellas, missing with Amanda. She's throwing out all the love today. That's what I'm talking about. Love you, Amanda. So her own mother was in no hurry, no panic to find her daughter. She let her mother, Yolanda, and her sister go on a fool's errand as those two sat together. Jen Soto and that Michael Jackson sounding mofo, they're sitting together orchestrating, in my opinion.
So keep in mind, all of this is still northbound,
Okay.
right? You're still northbound on Jungyoung Parkway.
Northbound.
So why is your car seen going southbound at 8:10? at, I'll show you what location it is. McDonald's is over here.
Mm-hmm.
At 8:10, your car is seen going southbound at this intersection. So meaning going toward Kissimmee.
Mm-hmm. I had forgotten my gate clicker. I'm sorry. I forgot. I had gone back to the house real quick after we left because I forgot my gate clicker. I actually had to go through the front gate and use my parking pass to grab my clicker. So it was the wrong time. I'm sorry. Like I said, I was guesstimating these times. I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
So yes, we've gone out.
How far did you get before you came back down when you realized you forgot your clicker?
Nearly all the way to the school. And then we turned around. We had plenty of time to kill, so there was time to go back. I rushed back, got the clicker, and that's when I came back here this way.
So you guys came back here to get your clicker.
Correct.
So when we look at the cameras in the front, it's going to show you coming back in
Correct.
here with her in the car.
Yes, with her in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Yes.
I know it sounds like we're asking you stupid questions, okay? We just
No,
want to
it's
verify
okay.
the
I'm
times.
sorry I'm not being more help. I'm not a morning person. I was half asleep as it was.
Stearns was then questioned about his cell phone. Maddie didn't have her cell phone that morning that she disappeared, and Stearns didn't have his either.
The other detective mentioned that you did not have your phone yesterday?
Correct.
Tell me about that.
I left my phone at home in the morning too. I was so busy riding Herd over to get us out the door on time that I left my phone. She left her phone. We both left our phones.
Did you have your phone when you went to the smoke shop?
Not the first time after I dropped her off. I was still without it. I got my phone and went back to the smoke shop.
Detectives said Stearns' phone is a major piece of evidence in this case. They later said they found more than 1,700 images of Maddie on the phone and in a Google Drive that showed Stearns performing sex acts on Maddie or vice versa. Sometimes Maddie was asleep. Stearns was asked about something unusual.
Okay. I don't want to get too graphic. The pictures of Maddie, and I hate to use the words perform, but for YouTube I have to. I can see how he could use the phone. Him, quote, performing on Maddie, I don't see how he could get the pictures. And of course, sometimes she was asleep. They had their own street corner pharmacist keeping them all drugged up around there. Over 1,700 captures of this. Like I said, either he has a timer on the phone and knows exactly where to aim it, because sometimes, I know like when we take family photos and stuff, someone's head always gets cut off. We get part of a face and we have to do it several times. And let's face it, he's into what he's doing. Who was taking the pictures? This is beyond disturbing.
Unusual on his phone that the detectives had noticed.
And then I also noticed, I was checking your call history. I noticed that you don't have anything before this morning. Is that unusual on your phone?
No, it's a new phone. Stupid. I went to do an update yesterday morning, and I don't know what the fuck. Pardon me. I don't know what the heck I did, but somehow during the massive OS update, I managed to factory reset my phone and lose all of my contacts, all my information.
Mm-hmm. What time was that? Do you remember?
Oh, sometime while I was hanging out with, looked at her and said, what did I just do?
Okay.
She might know better. I don't know what time it was. It was when I was here with.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. Do you,
I
Louis?
don't know where my head was yesterday. It was so far up my backside.
That's okay. We understand. In the meantime, while we're waiting for all this to get sorted out, I am going to hold on to your phone, okay? I'll give it back to you when we're done.
Okay.
Okay? Do you have any questions for us?
How long are you gonna need my phone? That's
I'm not sure. I'm waiting for my supervisor to call me.
my dad. It's just my dad's using that to get a hold of me and get updates.
They can call Jen's phone.
So Stearns said he accidentally factory reset his phone the day that Maddie disappeared. There have been a lot of questions about what Maddie's mother, Jen Soto, knew about Maddie's disappearance, if anything. A police report says a detective interviewed Jen Soto and Stearns a day after that audio interview. Jen Soto told detectives that she, Maddie, and Stearns typically slept in the same bed together, but there were times that Stearns and Maddie slept in another bed together if she needed a good night's sleep because of her anxiety. A detective wrote that he confronted Jen Soto with evidence that Stearns had been sexually abusing Maddie. The document is redacted with names blacked out, but it says that Jen Soto asked to see the.
Okay, I'm going to give a warning because this is disturbing as hell. Of course, it's redacted, but we know what they're talking about. She stated yes, that if she needed a good night's sleep due to her anxiety, she would ask them to sleep in a different bedroom. The detective had previously shown photographs of Mr. Disney's penis for identification purposes. She did not want to believe Maddie and Stefan were engaged in sexual activity. I've got another word for it. Jen asked to see the image of Stearns and Maddie. The detective pulled out a printed picture from Stefan's Google Drive that showed Maddie with Steven's penis. Well, you can read it. Jen said she didn't recognize anything in the picture, as if she was in denial. However, she became visibly upset. I asked Jen additional questions unrelated to this particular case. I excused myself and told her that I was going to speak with Stefan. So then they confront him with the pictures. You know what he does? Do I need a lawyer? Actually, let me try to do it in his voice. Do I need a lawyer? Do I need a lawyer? You're telling me she didn't recognize her boyfriend's cock? She didn't recognize her own bedroom? She didn't recognize her daughter? Nope. No home girl. Nope.
Image of Stefan and Maddie. I pulled out a printed picture from Stefan's Google Drive that showed Maddie with Stefan's penis in her mouth. Jen said she didn't recognize anything in the picture, as if she was in denial. However, she became visibly upset. In interviewing Stefan Stearns, the detectives wrote, Stefan stated that Maddie always needed human contact when going to sleep. Stefan referred to it as snuggling. As the interview went on, I asked Stefan if Maddie had ever been sexually active with anyone in the past. Stefan stated there was an incident when Maddie was much younger. Stefan said that she did something with a phone or camera, but she wasn't scolded for it. Stefan said she was very young when this happened.
He knew what they had. He knew it. This is not snuggling. So has she been sexual? Do you know? Now, mom's side piece, mom's boyfriend should not know that. He shouldn't be involved in anything like that. He goes, yeah, she got in trouble for using her phone, for that nastiness before. He's trying to put it all off on the victim. He's trying to put it all off on Maddie by saying, yep, she got in trouble one time for using her phone, but we just talked to her.
When detectives asked Stearns about the photos on his drive, he asked whether he should be talking to a lawyer. He was charged a short time later with sex crimes related to Maddie. I want to bring in Tim Jansen. He's a criminal defense attorney, also a former federal prosecutor. He's been following this case very closely. Tim, your first thoughts on this interview with Stefan Stearns?
Well, it's probably an interview he probably shouldn't have given. It gave a lot of leads and it opened up a lot of contradictions in the evidence. And clearly they were able to get his phone, get things on the phone. He locked themselves into positions that is completely contrary to the evidence. So it's very damaging for him.
He's talking about how he got her up, the wanting to go to McDonald's. There was a lot of focus on this wanting to go to McDonald's. But in the documents that the prosecutors released in discovery, they said that there's video footage that shows him leaving the complex that morning. And that Maddie, he said, he tells the cops she was kind of dozed off and snoozing the whole time, but she's slumped over. So that leads us to believe that she was possibly already dead when he left the complex that morning. But he's talking about wanting to go to McDonald's and he was going to take her to McDonald's and dropping her off at this church. And it was like really early, but far away from the school. So there's all these like weird little things that he's telling the cops that just don't make sense when talking about dropping a 13-year-old girl off for school.
Yeah, technology again is going to convict this guy. The technology at the gate showed her slumping to her left, which would be opposite the car door. Didn't look normal. What kid turns down McDonald's? What kid turns down McDonald's twice? Then he said he was going, he's giving his timeline, and then just a coincidence, both of them left their phones at home. So you couldn't get any geo-tracking. That was purposeful. Her iPad or computer, it was probably turned off also. He said she had her backpack, but then yet cops saw him dumping a backpack in a trash. None of his story adds up. He was going the wrong direction. The police did a pretty good job keeping him talking. It wasn't only to the end where he says he realizes maybe I should get an attorney. So everything before that point is clearly going to be admissible.
One thing that I found very curious was the fact that this happened on February 26th, that him leaving the apartment complex, they say, with Maddie's body in the vehicle. And so he hadn't been at the apartment since December, according to the documents. So he shows up. She had been with her grandparents, apparently. He shows up that Sunday evening at 8:30 at night after her birthday party. She had celebrated her 13th birthday because she had turned 13 days before. And then he shows up. And sometime, I think the window would have to be sometime after 8:30, according to law enforcement, and 7 a.m., 7:30 the next morning, something happens and Maddie is dead. And mom is apparently sleeping in because of a new job, according to him. So we have a 12-hour or so window, maybe 11, 10-hour window where Maddie died, according to law enforcement. So it's very curious to me that he shows up all of a sudden right after her birthday party, and then the police say that he kills her for whatever reason. I don't know if something is supposed to have transpired during that time sexually, but he's talking about how, the mom was sleeping in because she has this new work schedule.
Yeah, it seems like what happened. He says he went to live with his parents who were older and complaining about them being deaf and having dogs barking. And maybe what happened, and we're all guessing, speculating, maybe Maddie thought this was over because all those sexual things were earlier when she was younger. Maybe she thought he was gone. And then maybe he shows back up and wants to continue it. And Maddie says, no, I'm going to the cops. I'm 13. We're not doing this anymore. And maybe that's why this transpired. It's just a guess, but the timing would line up with the facts.
I agree with this attorney, and normally I don't agree with attorneys, that he shows back up. I was under the impression he was at the birthday party. We're hearing now that he wasn't. So way to go, Facebook lied to me again. That because she had already told friends at school that as soon as she turns 13, she's going to the woods to live. Mr. Disney shows back up, and it's time for round 1800, whatever you want to call it. And that's what he is wanting. I agree with this guy. Something was a game changer that night. Woo, this is a lot to take in, and we're not done yet. But as you know, it is Sunday, and my husband is home. So to break up what we're doing, would anybody want one of my husband's dad jokes? Are you ready? Okay, you're on, Gregory.
What did the sheep wear to the beach?
What did the sheep wear to the beach?
A bikini.
A bikini. A bikini. All right. I love this channel. Bill Cannon, homicide sergeant from NYPD. He's breaking down the most significant evidence so far. Let's go through it. He has done amazing with this job, with this case.
Important things that occurred in this case that actually got the case going was when the detectives brought Stefan Stearns in. And when they brought him in, he's free to go. He's not under arrest. But detectives know, and I'll use a Yiddish word they use in New York City, how to schmooze a potential defendant. Schmooze him, be nice to him, get him talking to you. Then use your best acting to show that, no, you're not a suspect. And this was so important because guess what they got him to do? Guess what they got him to voluntarily allow them to do? Right. And there's a consent form, and we'll see this. Yeah. Consent to search. They allowed, Stefan Stearns allowed the police, without a search warrant, to search his phone. They made sure, and this shows they know what they're doing, they made sure that he signed a consent to search of his phone so that later on he could say, I never gave them permission. And surely after they found the bad stuff, guess what? That at that point, probable cause is established. And Mike, you're the attorney. Once probable cause, you describe it.
Probable cause is a certain level of proof that would induce a normal, prudent, reasonable police officer to believe that a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed, and the person they have seized, the person they have in front of them, is the person who did it. It's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, like, say, for instance, at a trial, but you have to have some objective proof that would induce a reasonable person to believe that a crime was committed and that person did it.
You know, Mike, what I actually also was looking for was at this point, if the detectives were going to proceed with questioning, they now have, he's under arrest.
Oh, yeah, that changes everything.
Read him Miranda, right?
You got to, yeah.
After they read him Miranda, he didn't want to talk. He knew the gig was up. He thought that he had erased the contents of his phone, and he made that big mistake. But for the law enforcement, that was a jackpot, because now they could put this savage in jail while they continue to investigate it. And they know at this point he's their guy.
I love that Bill called him that. Now he's been Mirandized. Now he said you put this savage in jail. What else would you call him? Over 1,700 pictures of Madeline on his phone. And as we know, we're not talking about at Disney World. We're not talking about making sandcastles. I agree with that last guest from Law and Crime that said, I think when he got there that night, he wanted to continue what's been going on. And she's like, no, I will go to school tomorrow. I will tell everyone. I will call the police. I will tell my grandma. I'll run out of here right now and I'll get a neighbor. And he knew he couldn't have that. And once again, Jen didn't do the right thing for her daughter. And I have a feeling Homeland Security is neck deep in this. Neck deep. Because they're going to do the investigation into the dark web and where all of these pictures went. He was already advertising just on the regular internet. This is an advertisement. He said the finished product, my girlfriend's 9-year-old daughter planned and painted this scheme. Well, what's a scheme? Don't you mean a project? A craft? He says scheme. With a bit of help from me on the helmet. Well, that's a PED word. Meaning she knows what to do with a helmet.
And that was a crucial part of this case, and it happened very, very early on in this case. Let's just remind you of some of the things that occurred in this case.
There is a presser going on in the state of Florida by the state attorney there. And this is regarding Madeline Soto, who you have heard about, and the child. And Stearns is the one who had been charged with pornography. Let's get you live into the presser.
7.5 weeks, actually. The Kissimmee Police Department and my office have been working closely to go over every piece of evidence that we could gather in this case. It was a voluminous and a lot of evidence to get through during that time, but we were successful in getting through it and making sure that we were able to provide the best case we could. Today, we're announcing that Stephen Stearns has been indicted by the grand jury on first-degree murder for the killing of Madeline Soto. We presented the case to the grand jury. They returned an indictment earlier today. There has been some questions as related to the length of investigation. I just want to let you know again that my office and the Kissimmee Police Department have been working vigilantly in making sure that we had every opportunity to get every piece of evidence that we could. I want to thank the Kissimmee Police Department and their tireless efforts. They've done an amazing job in the heavy lift that we've asked them to do, as well as the prosecutors that have been assigned to this case and making sure that we got every piece of evidence reviewed and gathered in this case. While death investigations usually take around 5 to 6 weeks or longer, we were able to get this one done relatively quickly and get the case to the front of the grand jury, like I said earlier today, to return the indictment against Mr. Stephen Stearns. The death penalty in this case, we have not decided what decision we're going to make in that case. We're going to continue those discussions going forward, and we'll let you know again when we make that decision as to whether we're going to seek the death penalty in this case. I want to thank the grand jury for their hard work and their efforts in making sure that we're making this first step in seeking justice for Madeline Soto, for her family, and so the community can have closure in this case. Excuse me.
You know, this is sort of torturous listening to this press conference,
Yeah.
but I just want to say that if everyone that's been following this case knows that he didn't get charged with murder from day one. What held him in were the 60 charges that of SA they found on his phone. That's what held him. I'll put the document on the screen. That's what held him. He wasn't charged with the murder till much later, but they were confident that he could be charged with it. There's the document right there. 60 charges.
Yeah, my hat's off to law enforcement in this case because they got him. 8 counts of sexual battery on a child under 12, 5 counts of sexual battery with a child 12 to 18, familial custodial authority, 7 counts of lewd or lascivious molestation, 40 counts of unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images. And now we find out it's much worse. It's 1,700 plus.
Filed against defendant Stephon Stearns. 8 counts of S battery, 5 counts of S battery with a child between 12 and 18, 7 counts of lewd and lascivious molestation, 40 counts of unlawful possession of materials. And you know what this is. I don't want to, for YouTube's sake, I don't want to spell them out because they love censoring it. So I'm just not going to say the words. But that's what held him in. That's what held him in the very beginnings of this case. And so most of us, we don't know, not most of us, none of us know what the cause of death was. And none of us know at what point and why did they have enough to charge him with murder first degree. We were never told that. And we still don't know that. And even in this PDF, this 5-page PDF document outlining the discovery material for the defense, we still don't know the cause of death, Mike.
Yeah, Billy, very, very quickly, probably within I don't think it was even 48 hours, they zeroed in on him and they had the pictures and they arrested him. And the good thing about that is, A, they didn't have to pretend and watch him and see if he was a flight risk. B, they were able to, because they know statistically, if you get any sort of SA involving children, I think the FBI has said the average life expectancy is maybe 48 hours after that. So they knew they had to act fast, even though they had their guy that they believed, they had him on something else, which he would easily do probably 50 years, which would probably be a life sentence for him anyway, just on those charges. They were able to mobilize a task force really quickly. Everybody chipped in. I mean, I don't think those cops, those detectives slept for a week. They were working until they found poor Madeline. And in that time, they were able to get emergency affidavit, search warrants, do the emergency affidavit, get the search warrants on the tracking devices, on the phones, all kinds of information. They had before they even had like the crime scene, photographs and everything else. And so they were able to put together really quickly because they probably were a well-manned task force, and they were able to do a lot of work really quickly. People are like, well, it took them like 5 days or something like that. But the public doesn't realize how much work can get done in 5 days if there's a group of cops determined to find a child and get justice for this child. And then they're working right around the clock, 24/7. You can get a lot of work done. They did it. And the volume of information they got, they had 21 detectives in this task force. That's amazing. And I think people should be proud of the work that got done quickly.
All hands on deck. You had 50 people literally searching for her. You had 21 detectives on it. Wow. Y'all, this case makes me sick. When everything started breaking loose Thursday and Friday, I was like, I can't stomach this. I cannot stomach this. We know how disgusting he is, okay? We've absorbed that. That's marinated for a while. The fact that her mother said, due to my anxiety, I send them to another room so I can sleep. And he says, Madeline has to have human contact. I call it snuggling. Well, you don't have 1,700 plus pictures of being a snuggle bun. You've got pure depravity and filth. This is the kind of shit that God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for. And we're hearing it day after day after day after day. And I'm sick of it. Sick of these nasty bastards. And the women that allow them around their children. She served her up to her on a platter. I've got anxiety. You guys go snuggle in another room. I guarantee every time she heard the word snuggle or anxiety, her anxiety went through the roof. It's disgusting. And I'm waiting impatiently to see what they're going to do with Jen Soto. I think she should be charged. I think she should be charged with something. DT Driver's supposed to be outside mowing, but look at him right here making it rain. Woohoo, everybody. If you got a Crime Lines and Laws membership, thank DT Driver. Get your umbrellas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kamari said, I think charges will... Hang on, let me find Kamari's post. Comment. She said, I think charges will be coming, Brooks, unless they're cutting a deal with her. You know, and I really hope... Usually Florida doesn't play. So it's going to be up to the DA to see if he's got enough to charge her with actually 100% knowing. I think that's going to be the thing. But I think you're right. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I'm sick. I'm sick about this. Also, I'm sick about what went on over the weekend in another case. It's the case of Sebastian Rogers. I know a lot of you are wanting to talk about it. And we will be. We are definitely going to be talking about that case tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. Regular time, regular place. So please keep your reminders on, because don't ever want to miss you. I love when we get together and chat about the worst of the worst. All right, you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy, get some sunshine, do some gardening, watch some Netflix. However you do it upright. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thank you, Mod Squad, and thank you to all of you for being the most amazing friends any girl on these nasty YouTube streets could ask for. Have a good one. Love ya.